of all of the exciting days that you've had at the track, 101 wins, is it 12 championships?
Yeah.
How did yesterday rank, or the days leading up to the announcement when you knew in your career?
So yesterday has definitely been one of the highlights of my racing career for sure. With, building it up for several months here, talking to Rick and Robbie and everybody involved behind the scenes is one thing, but when it actually hits the media and you actually physically see it, like on paper and on the news, it's like, wow, you know what I mean? So, blown away, like absolutely ecstatic, and just so blessed to have this opportunity and really looking forward to it.
I think, you had a lot kind of to say about, the Clash coming, thought it was, give me your kind of ideas that you had in your mind about when the announcement happened last August, what you thought about the whole idea of bringing the Cup cars back to Bowman Gray.
Well, that's super cool, right? And I also thought that when NASCAR announced that the Clash was going to the Coliseum in California, I was like, I don't understand. Like, we have Bowman Gray Stadium right here in Winston-Salem, 45 minutes from the heart of Cup racing here in the Charlotte-Mooresville area. It just didn't make any sense. And for then it to come to fruition, for them to actually bring it to Bowman Gray, which, I spent my whole life racing there, it just means so much to me and my family and my fans and sponsors and all that, for it to be there. Like, this is it. This is the pinnacle of motorsports. And for me to get the opportunity here with RWR to get to drive in the Clash, I'm speechless. And if you know me, it's really hard to get me speechless. So it's just super cool, man. It's really, really cool.
When did you first think, all right, we got to figure out how to get in the Cup car? How did it even come up?
Actually, it was Rick's idea. I thought, man, it would be cool when they mentioned it. Like, man, it'd be really cool if some of the guys that race at the stadium got an opportunity. But working in Cup racing for my whole life also, I know what it costs to do this. And I know that this isn't just like, hey, let's throw a race together and go. This is big time auto racing, right? And a lot of factors go into it. And I thought, man, it was really cool. So Rick approached me, several months ago. I was like, hey, man, I'd really like to do this. What do you think? I was like, heck yeah, man, if we can put it together, let's do it. It'd be awesome. And, one thing led to another, and then yesterday happens, and it's like, it's here. You know what I mean? And just can't be more thankful for Rick and Lisa and Robbie and everybody involved behind the scenes at RWR to make this happen, and everything that Mike's done and his group at True Speed. Just so excited to be a part of it.
There's no telling, I don't think, what the mix of the normal Saturday night crowd and the crowd who bought tickets for the Clash weekend is going to be, but what do you think the crowd reaction will be when they see Tim Brown roll out in the 15 car for that first practice or first qualifying? Especially the Saturday crowd's going to be probably your Saturday night crowd, I bet.
Yeah, so I'm kind of mixed on that, honestly, because I would hope that even the non-Tim Brown fans for the stadium racing would support me for this race, just because I'm the Bowman Gray guy that's getting the opportunity to represent the stadium and all the race fans from the stadium in this particular event. And that is as of right now, right? There may be other drivers that get an opportunity, but as of right now, I'm the guy that if you're a huge Bowman Gray fan, man, put your big boy hat on and pull for me for this one race. You can not like me after it, right?
Well, they may still have to give you the obligatory finger, even if they're going to pull for you for that race, right?
Absolutely, and if it's entertainment, and I'm used to seeing that anyway, so that's all good.
You mentioned, and I had this lined up as a question, what are the possibilities that Bert or Jason or Danny Bone or somebody in that group of 20 that are going to race the modified race also maybe find another one-off Cup ride that they can jump into? Have you heard anything, or do you think that the possibilities out there?
Well, I would definitely think the possibilities out there. I'm also a realist and realize how much it costs to do this, even for a one-off. Just getting approved, it is hard to do. Finding the funding to do it at this level is super hard to do. You're talking about enough money for one race to run our modified for 2 or 3 seasons, right? So that's what I don't think the average fan understands. At this level, it's a whole different concept of how things get done. I would personally like for me to be the only one, just me being selfish for myself and RWR. but if somebody else does, good for them also, right? So it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me and my family and my race fans and community and Bowman Gray, so hopefully we can make the best of it.
You mentioned approvals. What kind of approvals were there for you to jump straight up into a Cup car, having never done a National Series? Have you ever done a National Series race?
Well, I've ran a truck race.
Okay.
But a lot of people don't realize that for years I did a lot of testing for Toyota and TRD in the Cup cars, and you know, all the people at NASCAR, you know that and have been around for that. So, and two, you're going to the stadium. It's not like you're going to Daytona or Charlotte or Vegas or
Right.
Dover or something, right? So it is a stadium, and that, I'm sure, has a huge factor in it. Just everything that's happened is just so blessed, man, with all the support from everybody. And you know, my phone's blown up since 2 o'clock yesterday. I actually got one phone call before I think Mike even hit send on the email, on the blast, right? It's like, hey man, this is so cool. It's like, what are you talking about, right? Like trying to play dumb. It's like, man, it's out. It's like, well, I haven't seen it. So, but it's been really cool.
What are your expectations? How different is it going to be from the modified to jump in the Cup car? A lot heavier, 1,000 and some odd pounds heavier, slightly different horsepower to weight ratio. What are your expectations on what the difference is going to be?
Well, I have a lot, right? I really want to do really well for Rick and Lisa and all these guys that build these cars in this shop. I want to do well for myself. I want to do well for my wife and for my son and for my daughter. But at the end of the day, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I want to relish it, and I want to enjoy it, and I want to have fun doing it. Now, the racer in me wants to go and sit on the pole and win the race and be like, yeah, that's what it's all about. But at the end of the day, this is a Cup Series, and you're racing against the elite drivers, the best drivers in the world. Do I think we can go win the race? In the back of my mind, it'd be really cool. But in all realistic, in my mind, if we can just make the show and have a good effort and have fun, I'll be pleased with that. Now, if we go and don't make the race, I'm going to be beating myself up for the rest of my life. But that's just the racer that I am. Do we want to go win? Absolutely. Are we going to work hard to build the best race car that we can build to take over there and try to win? Absolutely. What are the likelihood of us winning? Probably small, but I'm not telling myself that. I'm going to go and strap in that thing, and I feel like I do have an advantage because I've raced there for thousands of laps, and do have a lot of success there. So it is different, but also the track's different now too, even for me, with the safety barriers and things that they've come in and redone. The lighting's different, so you know, people that don't drive the race cars, the lighting changes how you drive the racetrack, right? So if you can see better, you might change the line that you run. If you can't, like, there's so much that goes into effect there. I was talking about it this morning with the crew chief for this thing, Jerry Cale, and he's like, man, you know that we feel like the very first practice that you will be really good, but then the best drivers in the world will narrow that margin really quick, right? So we'll have to be on our game and have the best car that we can have, because I'm going to be learning also, right? This is not a modified. This is a heavier car with less power. So my learning curve and their learning curve is probably going to come together, and we'll hopefully stack up and be good enough to make the show and be competitive.
Yeah, because you've got to go through, qualifying. They haven't announced how they're going to set the field. We know that it'll be a mixture of qualifying, those heat races, a last chance race, and then from all of that, they'll pick 26 or so cars. I don't think they've set the number yet this year. Last year it was 26 at the Coliseum, right? So you got to get through that gauntlet.
That's right. That's right. And we know that, right? And we talked about that when this deal got put together. There's a good chance that we go and put this big effort in and not make the show, but I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about how we're going to go and do the best we can, and hopefully we'll make the show. And I honestly feel like any car that makes the show's got a shot at winning there, because the attrition's going to be outstanding. Like it's going to be something cold, slick. It's going to be exciting.
Have you announced a sponsor lineups for your ride yet?
We have not. We're still working on that. It does look like it'll be a lot of my partners that are on my modified for the weekly stuff.
Yeah,
so
cool. Excited
about that. May have some new partners, and Rick and Robbie may have some partners on the car too. And I don't think I can really talk about that yet, but it looks good. I think it's going to be neat.
Tell me, let's go into what you do on a day-to-day basis. You're here at Rick Ware Racing. You've been down here doing stuff in cup shops for years. Have you been always at a Roush affiliated, or have you bounced around to any? Tell me your background and then sort of how you transitioned into what Rick does here on the campus at RFK.
Yeah, so right out of high school, like my grandfather owned race cars and raced, and he was friends with a bunch of the cup owners and all that. So right out of high school, I went to work for Cale Yarborough on his race team with Derek Cope driving, and then Mayfield. And when I left Yarborough's, I went to MB2 and worked for a long time, and then Garen bought MB2, and then DEI bought Garen, so I was through all that merger. And then when Michael Waltrip left to go run his own team with Toyota, I wound up working there and managing the suspension room and stuff there for Waltrip's till they shut down. Then I came over to Roush Fenway and ran the suspension room there, and then got moved up to shop foreman for years. And then just last October, November, I decided to come down to RWR and do my gig here. So total different lifestyle here at RWR. It's a lot smaller organization. It's a bunch of racers trying to do the same thing to go run well. So my quality of life is better. I love it here. Hope we can keep this thing going and run well, and just it's a good place to work, right? It's a lot less stress than what you have for the bigger teams and things like that. Now there is stress here. We want to run well, right? We want to make the best of every race for us. It's just different. Like when you have, you know, the group of people that we have, it's not like having 400 employees. So you know, like these guys that work with you right beside you know their wives and their kids and all that. If you've got 400 people, it's hard to be that close to them. So pretty neat opportunity here at RWR.
All right. I think that'll do. Oh, no, I was going to ask, well, I guess we can do this kind of as we walk around. I can show you doing some things, but is the car built for you yet? Is it ready to go? You still got to get working on it? How much are you going to help?
That's it right there.
All right. Yeah. And how much, you know, I think I read you're going to be building your own car, so to speak, but how much hands-on will you have in that car to go to Bowman Gray and race it?
So here at RWR, I have the privilege to drive the cars on the chassis dyno, and I drive them in the parking lot to make sure the brakes and steering and all that works before we take them to the chassis dyno, and I drive them on the chassis dyno to feel the car like being smooth and make sure that shifts fine and all the gauges work and all that. So I'll get to do that, and I'll get to actually build suspension and help hang the suspension and help with the seat installation and things like that. But we have a great group of guys here that have their own thing that they do, and we want all of them to be a part of it too. So I'm not going to overstep and try to do stuff I normally don't do, but I do want to be a bigger part in this particular car than I normally am, just for the fact I get to go race it, and just what a cool story that is.
And I think that's cool. You'll probably be one of the only guys in the field who has done something like that on the race car at that level.
Yes, so somebody in the shop here yesterday said, man, you ought to drive the hauler too. Like, that'd be so cool if you drove the hauler in to park it, which I can. I drive my own, so that would be a whole nother side of it too.
Nice.
But
very good.
It's really cool just to see everybody kind of rally around here at RWR and make a big effort out of this and try to go do the best we can with it. So this is it. Yeah, this is it. Yeah. Yeah, we've started though. We have started on it.
How much is it different these days as you think back on your career and built cars to this deal here, where it comes to you in these big chunks of pieces, and then then you just sort of assemble it? And I know there's still a lot you can customize, but there's a lot you can't anymore.
Yeah, so fortunately, I've been doing this my whole life, right? So when I first started at Cale Yarborough's, you know, we would send a truck to Hutchinson Pagan, and they would get like the roof skin and a deck lid skin and a hood skin, and you would make everything else. You'd have the tail naturally and the tail and the nose that NASCAR made you run for that manufacturer. Everything else you hand built. And when I say everything else, I'm talking about the chassis you built. If you didn't buy it from Laughlin or BSR or Hopkins, you built your own upper control arms, you built your own spindles, your lower control arms, a drag link, center link, Pitman idlers. You built everything yourself. Truck arms, rear end housings, and all that you built yourself. Today, and I understand why NASCAR did this, right? I think the owners got together and said, hey, we need a common car. We don't need 600 employees, where you've got 200 welders and fabricators, bending steel and all that, when we could just buy a car and bolt it together. And I think NASCAR's envision of this car was to be able to have like 25 or 30 employees per car number to just buy parts and bolt together and go be competitive, right? So today you basically buy every part of this car and bolt it together.
There's still, I think some people, fans, old school fans especially, probably think, oh, it took all the creativity out of it. There's still a lot of creativity in putting this together, right?
It's actually more.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is everybody has the same thing. Everybody has the same part, right? So attention to detail and creativity on how's the best way to put that part on, how's the best way to get the most out of that part is where it's at today. So you really have to have racers and people that really pay attention to detail working on these cars to be successful today.
Nice. What, tell me again, what's your sort of specialty as far as the day-to-day, shock, suspension, stuff like that?
So,
it's a little more broad here at this team than it may have been in the past?
It is. So like at RFK, I was a shop foreman for years, right? So I just made sure that everybody was doing their thing and had the parts and pieces they needed to work with, and that the work environment was good and the shop was clean and things like that. So here at RWR, I'm more hands-on, like with all the aspects of the car. I don't really mess with the body stuff because we have great body guys and all that, but like we have a great group of guys here, and we all kind of work together and try to make every car that we build, we try to make better than the last one. So a lot of the veteran guys here will get together and like, okay, how can we do this and make it better, and how can we do that? And I'm a part of that, right? So, and I really like that because I feel like I can make a bigger difference being out on the floor helping put the cars together than just sitting in an office or sitting in a meeting with, which I'm used to. Like some of the guys pick on me, it's like, man, you even know what a wrench is anymore? Right? So, but yes, I do actually get to help put race cars together here. And you take a lot of pride in it, right? Like last year, we almost won a race with Justin Haley. And if you look at what we have here to work with, that's pretty impressive. And it's just the people that's doing it, right? It's, from Rick to the guys that are all putting the cars together. It's everything that we believe in, and just the hard work and dedication to making the cars better. And it's a blast, man. Get to work on race cars for a living. It's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so this is Garen. Garen is one of our fabricators here at RWR, and he'll be the one responsible for mounting my seat and all in the car. So we'll work closely on that here in the next week or so to get me comfortable in the car, and try not to be a pain in the butt to him because that can be kind of tricky.
It's inevitable.
Yeah, so Garen will build the seat rails, which will actually bolt to the seat and mount the seat into the car. And those seat rails have to be modified for each driver for the angle that they want to sit at and the height and fore and aft in the car so we can reach the pedals. So Garen and myself will work together here in the next few weeks to get the seat mounted in it and get me comfortable where we can go put a show on in February.
Try and still be friends after.
That's right. Yeah, that part of it gets pretty intense because a driver may want a seat moved an eighth of an inch. Well, an eighth of an inch to the guy building the seat rails means new seat rails and new back plates and all that. So that's a day's work for an eighth of an inch, and a lot of people don't realize that. This is one area in the car that you can't just buy the parts and pieces. You still have to hand make them because each driver's different, each seat's different, and the location that they want it and need it for their particular body size and what they're looking for in the car for the fitment is all different. So still have to have quality fabricators like Garen, working at the cup shops to definitely mount seats. And it's very important too, right? Like that's the driver's livelihood, that's his office, that's his workspace. Not only does he need to be comfortable, he's also got to be safe. So this part right here is very important. And
everything has to be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're heading down there. You'll be there. Yeah. We just like to try to get a handful of them. I'll help you with